Hi, everybody, and welcome. It's John Pace again, and we're still refining my new studio setup, so-called studio. It's really just my bedroom. And today, instead of using the 16 to 35 f2.8 Sony lens, I'm using the 35 millimeter f1.8, trying to get a little bit shallower depth of field. I really thought that the previous videos I did using the 16 to 35 at 24 millimeters, the depth of field was a little bit too deep for me, at least for my liking. So we're going to see how this works out. The 35 millimeter does happen to be quite sharp lens, so I really like that. You don't need to stop it down tremendously in order to get a really crisp image. Right now we're shooting at f4.5 at ISO 400 on the A7 III. Similar to what we were doing before with the 16 to 35. And we're going to try a couple of different lenses and a couple of different camera angles today just to see how it looks. I really wish I had a multi-cam setup here with one for facing the camera, another one maybe to the side or something like that, but I really don't even know if I'm going to be keeping the Sony very long, because it looks like right now that they've run into some problems with getting enough DRAM, whatever that is, and it looks like the newer models might not have all the features that we're expecting to see. I can't see a new A7S III or an A7 Mark IV coming out without 10-bit 422 video, 4K 60p minimum for the A7S III, probably for the A7 Mark IV. I'm not expecting so much because it's still supposed to be an affordable camera, right? And only other manufacturers make affordable cameras that shoot 4K 60p, yeah. But anyway, in addition to using a different lens, we're keeping the same lighting situation. I have the key light here with the Lishuai with the Godox softbox on me. It really kind of sucks. I'd like to get a bigger softbox. I'd like to get a better light. We've got the kicker light hitting the side of my cheek again, and we have Yongnuo YN216 in the corner there. But what I'm doing today, because I can't go out and buy all new lights at the snap of my fingers, we're just doing a little bit with the coloring. So we're keeping basically the same color that I had before, only I've gone ahead and played around with some of the shadows. I've tried to introduce a little bit of green in the shot, and why I'm doing that, it's kind of crazy maybe, but this evening I went and saw Joker at the theater. Let me say, first of all, it was a terrible experience watching a movie that has been butchered on a very small screen in a multiplex theater. Really not enjoyable at all, even though I sat through it until almost the very end. It was pretty much torture to see one of the best movies of 2019 butchered, where they cut out scenes. Some of them contained some violence. There was the scene where, I'm assuming you've already watched the movie, so if you haven't watched the movie, you might want to plug your ears for a second, but they cut out the scene where Arthur kills his mother in the hospital. They cut out the portions of the scene where he kills his co-worker, where he bashes his head against the wall, and a number of other scenes, including where Arthur is saved by the protesters, pulled out of the police car. He's rested on the front hood of the police car, and then he gets up and he makes a smile with the blood on his lips, and then he turns around to the crowd, and there's this really epic scene where everybody is just shouting and joyous, or something. I don't know exactly what the mood, how you would describe it, but they cut that out as well. Not really sure exactly why, but they cut out a lot of the movie, so it was just butchered and it was torture. But the one thing I really liked about Joker, in addition to the phenomenal performance by Joaquin Phoenix, was the use of lighting wherever possible. They replaced the lights with lights from the period from the 80s, I believe. So in the bathrooms, you had a green light, and outdoors, they replaced the street lights with sodium vapor lamps or something like that. I don't know all the different types of lighting, but they tried to keep it very genuine. So you had beautiful oranges and greens and all these different lights. And the colorist, I can't recall her name, but she is a miracle worker. It's just absolutely gorgeous to watch that movie. So I wanted to try and see if I could introduce a little bit of, I don't have the ability to have a crew come in here and paint my whole room green just for one video, but I tried to introduce a little bit of green, and then I had to go ahead and make a color mask for my face and pull back some of the orange or reds so that my face didn't look like a space alien, but that would be pretty cool, right? Anyhow, we're going to go ahead and do another shot with maybe a different lens or a different camera angle, so hold on just 1 second. Okay, we're back now. We're shooting with the 85 millimeter f1.8 lens at f4, ISO 640. Sorry about the audio in the previous clip where I was shooting with the 35 millimeter f1.8. I was clipping a little bit, so I reduced the gain on the microphone and I'm speaking a little more softly. So hopefully we won't run into that problem this time. I really like the perspective of the 85 millimeter. It's probably going to give me a really nice shallow depth of field in the background, which I really like. And I'm not so sure I really like the 24 millimeter perspective that's so popular among vloggers. Maybe for some situations where you want to show your entire studio, it's nice, but I don't really like the distortion of the perspective of the 24, especially my face up close to the lens is not the best combination, but some people can get away with it. I did have to redo this take because I had a loop going on from Final Cut of myself on the OLED television, but the Sony was focused and remained focused on my face on the television rather than on me, so I had to turn that off, so that experiment didn't work very well. Anyhow, let me take a look at this in the timeline and see how this looks, and if I like it, we'll go on and do one more, either a different lens or a different perspective. But before I do, the one problem with the 85, even though I do like this shallow depth of field thing, the camera is about 10 feet away from me right now. Careful, don't trip over my camera. My landlady's trying to get up the stairwell here. Yeah, the camera is about 10 feet away from me, so that's not too convenient because it's outside of my room right now. Anyhow, I'll take a look at it on the timeline, and we'll see. Maybe we'll do one more change up here with the perspective or with the lens.